Okay. I got mine muted.
Yeah, I'm muted.
Okay, let's go in here and see who's all the way up here at the top.
Okay, can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got Dobson, Willie Dobson in here.
Yep.
We got the Ohio. Let's see, Mike Sampson.
There we go. Comments.
Hooks and Hammock. Sean, Great Outdoors Exploring.
Let's see, Uncle Lou's in there.
Hey, there's Uncle Lou. We got two old vets.
Hey, two old vets, yeah.
We got Elstan, Chunky
There's
Catch
Chunky.
Fishing.
Hey, Mr. Chunky.
And we got John Boy's Catfishing.
Is that Miss Betty Cross there?
Yeah, Betty Cross is in the house.
Matt Catter. Who else is just coming in here? Yeah. There we go. Yeah, there's more people coming in. Welcome, everybody. Appreciate you coming in and watching me. I can see my wonderful sunburned face from a few days ago. Got my raccoon eyes going.
What's that? I'm trying to think of the Ricky Raccoon.
Yeah.
Remember that magazine from school?
Uh-huh.
Back in the 60s, back in the 70s?
The camera's not even picking up as bad as it really is. When you look in the mirror, I was like, whoa.
Or just be thankful you got good lighting where it's hiding it.
Yeah.
But if you're a guy with my complexion,
you'll be saying stuff about it. There's Eric Burnside. Hey, Eric.
We got Eric. We got Fishing with a Shad.
The Shad?
It's Chad, but someone was jokingly about last year sometime, I think it was Lau. He was jokingly calling him the Shad. It stuck with me, so I started calling him Shad.
There you go. That's funny.
Shad bait.
The Shad. Now I'm not going to get that on my head now. Every time I see him, I'll think of the Shad. That will be stuck in my head forever. There's Matt, Ohio.
Hey, Matt, how are you doing?
Happy?
Boy. Chad says, well, Lau can't speak. Well, at least, Chad, you can consider that a compliment coming from Lau.
That little teaser video Chad just put out's got me curious.
Oh, in a boat?
Yeah.
Hey, Justin, I'm curious what he's going to do with that boat. That's way much bigger than that little flat bottom John boat he's got.
Yeah. What else we got in here? There we go.
So, give us a little back history on you and your channel.
It's fins and finds. My two main favorite hobbies is fishing and metal detecting. So there's your fins and your finds. Actually, first started YouTube back in 2010, and it was just metal detecting stuff. It's one hobby that me and my dad had growing up together. And when his health got too bad, he couldn't go anymore. I would just go out there and basically videotape, my hunts instead of just come back, tell him what I found. He got to kind of relive it with me. And I did that for a few years until he passed away. Then I just didn't really have the heart to keep that going at all. And then I guess back in 2 years ago, I'm like, I kind of miss doing it. Saw more people doing that and the fishing stuff and decided, just to start the channel back up, and haven't really given as much as I need to. I went like 7 months without putting a video up, which, is of course, bad for your channel. But this year I really kind of rededicated to try to put out stuff, on a consistent basis when I can. Of course, the hard part with any type of outdoor channels, finding time to get outdoors. My work schedules, I work a 72-hour week, but it's a week on, week off. So my work weeks, I'm either working or sleeping. But then my off weeks, I got usually time to go. If I'm not taking my wife around, she coaches soccer all over the place, and I'm usually her chauffeur on my off weeks. So I try to fit stuff in when I can. But yeah, that's where the Fins and Finds. It's either be a fishing video or metal detecting video, and that's. Yeah, I've had people say, well, you should split the channels up. You're trying to do two things at once. That's a lot different, and I don't have time to do two channels.
Actually, I like that channel, just the way you have it set up.
I do too.
It speaks a lot there.
Yeah, a lot of people that I've metal detected with also fish, and vice versa. And I'm gonna alienate a few people who might get a notification that don't like fishing or metal detecting, and vice versa. And I mean, it's not, nobody's forced anybody to watch any of my videos.
No,
it's something you think you might like. Hey, click the play button, watch it.
I've always wanted to get into metal detecting.
Yeah, it's an awesome hobby. I mean, I've got some great finds. I've a lot of old coins dating back to even 1700s. I find gold rings, jewelry. Where I'm at with a lot of Civil War area, I've got, hundreds and hundreds of Civil War artifacts, and those are some of my favorite things to find. Of course, I like the old silver coins, but with the Civil War stuff, you dig an old bullet or something they had, and you think, man, nobody's touched this, for 150 years, 160 years, whatever it is now.
Oh, exactly.
On the drop mini ball or fire mini ball and wonder what that soldier was doing at the time. I mean, it's basically a great way to relive history that you can't get from reading the history book. It's a wonderful hobby. But still, I think my first love is fishing. I've been fishing with my dad since I was up to his knee that I can remember as far back. And at that time, I was born in the Chicago area. We'd go up to Wisconsin a lot, fish every year. And I've got pictures of me, 2 foot tall with him holding, stringer of 10-pound northern pike that he caught that day, and just watching those fish. I mean, I loved it. As far back as I remember, I had a fishing pole in my hand.
So I noticed in your videos, you have one video where I think it was you and someone else in the boat where you guys had over, I think, 18 crappie, maybe 20 crappie on a stringer.
That video, it showed my memories today. Today, a year ago, we actually filmed that video. Oh, I got some feedback there. And we ended up catching, I think, between 120 and 140 crappie that day. We just kept our limit, of course. Some of the bigger ones, good eating size. And my buddy, I don't keep any fish that I catch unless I'm with somebody that wants it. I'll just strictly catch and release because I do it for the fun of it. I don't like taking the time to actually clean the fish. That's just the way I do it. It's just,
Yeah.
Last trip we just took, everything went back. We had, even the stripers, hybrid stripers that people say are really good eating, like you said. I just throw it back.
They are good eating. They're like a crappie.
Yeah.
But much, much, much bigger.
Right. And then, my boat has a 70-gallon live well, and that's just in case I fish a tournament. That's one reason it's on the boat.
Yeah. So I noticed you also kayak fish.
Yeah. I've got right now an Old Town Autopilot Sportsman 136. It's 13.5 foot with the Minn Kota Autopilot spot lock, all that kind of stuff. I love that kayak. Before that, I was using the Hobie Pro Angler 14 actually, which was great too. But tell you what, it's so hard to beat that Sportsman Autopilot. It is now by far my favorite kayak.
I noticed that you set up was it the side imaging on that kayak or?
Yep. I've got a Lowrance HDS Live 7, which is like their top of the line, but the smallest size they make. And it's got side imaging, down imaging, 2D. That's a heck of a good unit. I was, my main boat, I've got Humminbird units on it. That's what I'm more used to. And I was looking at that, and I found this HDS Live a guy was selling up in Kansas City. He'd won in a tournament, and I got a heck of a deal on it. So drove up there and bought it. And when I got back, this transducer was huge. I mean, I'm like, how am I going to fit this on the kayak? So figured out a good way to do it. I made a video of it, and it's actually I think my second or third most watched video on that channel right now. I made it expecting maybe 50 people to watch it. I'm like, well, I've got this kind of unique kayak a lot of people don't have with a transducer that not many people can put in that kayak. But I knew the video could help a few people. That's in one of the Facebook groups that I'm in.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'll make the video help a few people out. And I think I'm sitting at almost 3,000 views on that video now. Just totally blew me away. Never expected that.
Can you walk us through the modifications you did to your kayak?
Yeah. So far, I haven't really done too much to it. Just again putting the rod holders on there, and then a lot of the guys on that kayak are putting the fish crafts on the built-in rails there, which I didn't like because it's farther away, and I can't see that good if it's far away from me. I'm real nearsighted. I can see good up close. And so there's a guy down in Florida, Navarre, I think it's Navarre kayak fishing. He does tours and stuff out there, but he makes these mounts that go on the handles that you replace, and it puts the fish finder right there on that handle, close to where I'm at. So I bought one of those, and I'll tell you, it works great. Just put on a little ram mount, and then I just added a few Yak Attack rod holders on it. My old kayak, I did a little anchor trolley doll anchor stuff, but with the spot lock, I just go where I want, hit that spot lock, and that's it. So really not much modifications needed, except for just putting a good battery. I got a 100 amp hour lithium battery put in there.
That's nice.
Yeah.
We got Vets in the house. We got Catfish and Pappy in the house. We got Justin. We have Carpet Down Under. Jeremy, how are you doing? Art from 1 Ton.
Hey, Art, how you doing?
And we got more people coming in. That's good.
But yeah, kayak fishing, I love kayak fishing. I've got a lake. It's called Fellows Lake, just north of Springfield. It's about 700 acres, and it's mainly bass. They got walleye, they got channel catfish, flathead catfish, and it's just nice and close by. So whenever I want to just go out for a few hours, just load in the truck or the trailer that I got. It's basically a 10-minute drive. I can have the kayak in the water.
No. Have you ever had a big cat spin you around in that kayak?
Not yet. But it's gonna happen. I'm planning probably the next month or two. I'm gonna take the kayak up to Truman Lake. They've got a lot of big catfish in there. But actually, if I go below Truman, or just below the dam where Lake of the Ozark starts, there's an area where slack water meets the current. They got like 2 little forks, below the dam there. And I think just on that point there where you got the slack water and the current meets, if I get a spot lock right there and that current seam, and I think it'd be a good place to set up, throw in there.
Yeah. Have you ever hooked into a big fish where it give you the old saying, the Missouri boat ride?
Not yet. No.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know what we're talking about. There was a guy who did that, caught a big striper down in the north side of Bull Shoals. They said it took him, over a mile ride on that one.
So that's what I consider the Missouri boat ride.
It's going to happen. I'm ready for it. It's going to be fun.
I don't think your paddles are going to help you any.
No, I just turn the spot lock off and just go for the ride and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, when you hook a fish and that drag's just going. And I kind of just laugh and smile and enjoy the moment, because you got
because your trolling motor is going to, with spot lock on, it's going to fight that fish just to.
Yeah, when that happens, just turn it off and I said, go for the ride.
Yeah, just because either your motor's going to burn out or you're going to break your line.
Yep. No.
Oh yeah, everybody. Katie Collins is not in here tonight. She's out sick, so please keep her in our thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
So I noticed you had a flat bottom John boat.
Nope, that boat in that crappie video was my buddy Ray's. He's the one I was fishing with that day.
Okay, I thought you had 2 boats.
Well, I've got a 26-foot Angler Quest pontoon boat. That's what we took out this past week on Norfolk Lake. Yeah, that's a beautiful boat. I like that one a lot. It's 26 foot. It's their catfish model, but I kind of had it custom made to where they make a striper edition and they make a catfish edition, among others. And the striper edition actually gives you an extended deck with 2 chairs up there. It gives you room to throw a cast net before you go into the gated area. And I like that a lot. But they don't give you any of the live well, that kind of stuff like the catfish edition has. So I basically had them custom make me one where the whole from the helm back is the catfish model, and then the helm forward is basically the striper model. But then I had them switch the couches around so when you lay on the couch, you're looking backwards. So when all your rods are set in the rod holders, you just relax back there and watch the rods go down.
That's awesome.
Except for this last, we were that 2 days doing that, and man, every time I got on that couch leaning back, I cannot stay awake. It was so comfortable. I kept dozing
You
off.
can't stay awake in those comfortable seats.
No, luckily my cousin was there and he was watching rods if I dozed off and vice versa. But yeah, it's comfortable.
We get the amazing and awesome Laura the Explorer in the house.
Hey, Laura, how you doing? Lori, yeah, I've been watching her videos. She's
doing good.
Okay,
coming along real good with this catfishing videos.
Proud of her, how she's building that channel up, putting that stuff up.
Now, do you have a live well on the pontoon boat as well?
Yeah, the pontoon has a 70-gallon live well. Yeah, on the kayak I don't have one at all, but yeah, there's 70 gallons built in. And when if I'm not tournament fishing, which I don't do too much tournaments, then it's just basically a nice big storage area. Right behind the seat where it's a center console pontoon boat, you got the captain's chair, and right below it, behind it, it's a padded, thing so people can sit on it also. You lift it up and you got 70-gallon live well. And that's where I basically keep, cast nets and all that kind of stuff for catching shad.
Now, do you have a live well on your boat for live bait or something?
On that boat, I also have a 50-gallon creek bait tank I put right in the front of the center console. So yeah, we fill that up, and instead of catching shad, because I didn't know, good place to catch on that lake, easy, quick, we went into town and bought, probably 3 or 4 dozen of the big brooder minnows. Just kept those in there, and they stayed alive for 5 days, and, does a great job. So yeah, I love the Angler Quest. Before that, I had a Sea Arc Pro Cat 240, which was a great boat, but my wife didn't like it. It just wasn't comfortable for her, And I got one picture that I took, and she basically went on those little beach chairs and put it in the back, and was laying down, and she looked so uncomfortable. And I said I could do better for her for that. So
it's hard to lay on those comfortable couches on pontoon boats and not stay awake.
Yeah. I saw, once I saw her uncomfortable, and I love for her to go with me. It's important for her to spend as much time fishing as she can with me, because she doesn't do much fishing, but she likes going out there. And so, I saw that Sea Arc, bought that Angler Quest, and don't regret it a bit. It's a little bit harder to tow than Angler Quest. It's a big boat, 26 foot, and doesn't tow as good as a Sea Arc does. But once you get on the water, it's worth it. So like I said, the trip we just went on, we just got off Norfolk yesterday. We spent almost 5 days there, me and my cousin, and just that boat getting around good. We went way up into the river part where the lake starts. It's actually before the lake starts on North Fork River. And I was getting in some areas which 3 foot of water, taking this 26-foot pontoon boat with a 250 motor, and skinny water. I feel like I could take that pontoon boat almost anywhere I could take anything else. It's done a great job. Or you be in the open water there and 150 foot of water and spot lock. And if there's, sometimes you get in the deep water and you have a big school of stripers down 70, 80 feet, spot lock right over them and fish straight down. I could just put the autopilot on I've got a Altera, 112 thrust Altera on the pontoon boat. And that'll push that thing we hit 3.2 miles per hour, at one point, taking that big thing around. but I could just, set it on the autopilot at whatever 0.3, 0.4 miles an hour, and we could troll an area. I just feel like anything I want to do on the water, I could do with that England Quest. It's
Okay, Ohio and Matt wants to know what's where to go.
Let me see if I can see.
What is a creek bait tank?
It's just basically the 50-gallon bait tank, but it's Creek Bank is the company that makes it. So it's you got a lot of the popular ones. There's Mel's Bait Tank, Creek Bank makes one. Gosh, I can't think of names right now. And it's just got filtration system. I got aeration in it, and just also insulated also. But Creek Bank is what the company that makes it, and 50-gallon I think is the biggest one they make. I don't know if that kind of answer the questions.
Yeah.
On that.
Do you throw cast nets?
I try, but I'm very bad at it. I need more practice.
What size do you throw?
Tacos, not a lot of pancakes. I'm a very good taco thrower. But I've got 3 different cast nets. Two I keep on the boat. I've got a 6-foot one, and then I got an 8-foot one. And of course, different states have different rules on what you can do.
Yeah.
But I catch a few, but even the guy that I was talking with the other day, he knows I'm so bad at it. So he's gave me one place that I caught some fish the other day. He goes, yeah, just throw some swim baits there, throw some minnows, because he knew I didn't have any shad in the boat because I probably didn't have time to catch any or couldn't.
Art with 1 Ton Fishing Club wants to know what type of flooring you have in your boat.
The pontoon, it's vinyl, but it looks like hardwood. It's like a gray hardwood, but it's just a real thick vinyl on it that's got, it's not real smooth, so you get some traction on it when it's wet. I haven't got it yet, but hopefully in the next month or so, I'm going to make a good walkthrough video on the boat. And
that'd be cool.
Yeah. I was going to do this trip, but I tell you, we got so cold when that cold front come through. I was bundled up in 5 layers. I just didn't want to sit there and do some of these extra videos. We had tough fishing, tough weather conditions. I just wanted the right mindset to do what I wanted to do.
So, we have Maurice in here. We have James Abba.
All right.
And we have Thomas Littlepage.
Thomas, yeah. It's growing. People coming in. Appreciate
yeah.
It. But yeah, the floor, it's vinyl, and if everything goes right within a month or so, I'll be doing a good walkthrough video of it. But the video I'm going to put up, well, it's going to be probably maybe a week and a half from the trip we just took. I'll be doing, a video on that one once I get off my work week coming up, and you'll see some of the stuff of the boat on there.
That's cool.
And if anybody's friends with me on Facebook, I've got pictures I've taken of it and put it up there also. And there's my name there, so I'm easy to find on Facebook with that weird last name. Not many Pitoniaks on there. So if you want to send me a friend request on Facebook, I'll accept you.
It took me a while to find you this morning. When I woke up, I was drinking coffee, and I'm like, Fins and Pines, Fins and Pines. I don't have Fins and Pines on Messenger. I had to go through the names.
Yeah, that's why when I do this one, I'm like, I'll put my real name up there because, again, a lot, like in the chat, you see a lot of these names, and I'm like, try to remember what their actual name is. It's hard sometimes. And, but yeah, I'm pretty active on Facebook, so look me up. I'm easy to find, and send me a friend request. But, I'll just talk a little bit about the trip we just did. So my cousin lives in Minnesota. He came down, and we spent 5 days in Lake Norfolk in Arkansas. The original plan was to go way up the river part. I was like, well, maybe the white bass should be up there spawning now. Give the good white bass run. So we, stayed in the cabin that we stayed at before a few years ago. We got 4 nights there. And the first day we went way up the river, and just tons of people up there, but nobody was catching anything. And so we went up the next day, and not much happening. There was trying to mark fish, and I mean, the white bass just weren't up there yet. So the other 3 days, we decided to stay more in the main lake, up one of the arms. And again, I've got a friend who guides out there, and he's kind of giving me everywhere he's catching some stripers the past few weeks when the weather was nice. And that's what we spent more time doing, just trying to catch some stripers. And we got a few. The problem we had was leading up to this, had a lot of rain in Missouri that came through. Of course, that feeds right into Norfolk. And
Oh yeah,
by the time
that week and a half of rain.
Yeah. So the lake had, right before our trip, the lake had come up 6 feet, and then of course, instead of having the 70-degree weather like we're expecting, we had nights frost warnings and stuff. That cold front came through, and it just slowed everything down. I mean, we just could not have timed it worse for this trip. But when you make those trips 2 months in advance, nothing you can do about it. You just got to grin and bear it, and we did the best we can. Didn't catch nearly as much fish, but he does a lot of detecting with me and the fishing stuff. And I mean, he's like my cousin, but my best friend. And anytime we're out hanging out together for 4 or 5 days, we're going to have fun. That's all that matters, really. Just making those memories.
Oh, yeah.
So, like I said, I got enough, catches, of course, to get a video out of it. And when I'm off in a week, I'll sit down and do all the editing because I had, 2 cameras rolling all day. So I've got, just about a terabyte of footage to go through. It's going to take a while, but I'll have it put out in the next week.
So what's your biggest flathead you caught so far?
My biggest flathead is maybe 5 or 7 pounds. I've never caught a big flathead. That's my goal this year, is to catch one over 20 pounds. So I'm really going to try to target those. My biggest blue cat is 30 pounds. I caught that at the CR Goners tournament on Wheeler back in 2019.
All right. What's your biggest crappie you caught so far?
It was probably 1.5 pounds, maybe. I've never weighed any crappie before. I weighed the catfish and stuff and stripers. We caught one striper last year, 2 years ago, actually, out in Norfolk also. And it was, I think, pushed about 18 pounds. And that same trip, a little after that, my cousin caught one that was, I think, 26 pounds. It was a nice one.
What's your go-to bait?
If I'm fishing for catfish, it's usually going to be shad. Or I've mentioned some of the chats. The guy I fish with a lot here, he digs these river worms up. He goes on the Osage River, and it's just right in the riverbank. If they're not dead, if they're flooded for a few years, then they all die out. You got to wait for them to come back.
Oh, yeah.
Something about these worms are just magical bait. I mean, we went out one time with them, and I brought 3 rods, and I went down to 1 rod because I couldn't keep up with 3 rods. Literally, you put it in there, and if you couldn't count a minute without catching another catfish. And they were not great. I mean, great size. They were 2-3 pounds, sometimes 7, but I think we still landed. He was catching the big ones. He landed 2 over 30 pounds that day.
That's nice.
Yeah,
I've had that happen to me 2 years ago before I started YouTube.
Yeah.
I was on a Kaskaskia River and I had 2 rods out. And for a good hour and a half, I could not keep both rods out.
Yeah, we're sitting in the boat, and I had the rods on, and I went down 1 rod because I would put it out, and usually I would just set it down. You have 3 rods sitting in the boat, and I just kept it in my hand. And it was just literally, you cannot count, a minute without feeling something. And I mean, we boated so many fish that day. It was a fun day.
Oh yeah,
we had a few that were I say looks marked for catfish crappies in there now. We had a few that, he had one break off that he got it close to the boat, never could see it because the water was real muddy, was been flooding. But you could tell a big fish swirl when you see it. When he comes up and makes that swirl before you see it, you kind of get the size of it. And I wouldn't be surprised if that fish was over 50 pounds. And the way it fought and bited, I'm guessing it was probably a flathead. Because there's been
flatheads have a tendency to find something to break off on.
Yeah, we were fishing right by this huge driftwood pile that came up from the flood, and so I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But that Osage River fishing, those days, I mean, it's been some big fish caught out of there. That's the one we were fishing probably about 15 miles before it dumps into Truman Lake to start the lake there.
Okay.
And back, I don't know, it was 20 years ago, my buddy who was fishing there, he caught, I think it was a 63-pound flathead out of there. That was his biggest fish out of there at the time.
Now, what type of rods do you use for the boat?
This trip, I had 4 Big Cat Fever rods, and I had actually I had more big than that. And I also had a St. Croix Mojo Cat that I used. I actually got 2 Mojo Cats, St. Croix I like a lot. And then for the stripers, we were using the Big Cat Fever, the striper stealth rods they make, along with I've got a couple cheap Lew's rods that were like actually crankbait rods, but they make real good striper rods for live bait because they're some flimsy, but they got enough backbone. And there's little in Springfield, Lew's headquarters, and they had a little outlet store, and they were like $80 rods, but they were last year's model. I got them for like $19 each, or I think they're $15, whatever. I bought a few of those, and for live bait striper fishing, they make great rods. And
now, do you have any catfish rods that you use for the kayak or the pontoon or what?
Yeah. I like, well, if I'm expecting mainly just, channel cats, I like using the striper stealth rods just because they got, a little more bend to them and they're not so stiff. But if I'm going to go to the kayak, like say in Truman Lake where I'm expecting to catch a big catfish, I'll bring, the Big Cat Fever rods. And I've got most of them with either Abu Garcia, the 6500s. I've got one rod that I've got actually a saltwater style Siegler rod. It's a lever drag, which I like a lot.
Yeah.
And I've got a couple of the Kuma cold water reels, which are great reels also. But I love spinning reels. And so I've got a few of them that have Shimano Thunus reels on it. Very expensive reels, but they're awesome. They got the what do they call it? Not the lever drag, but it's
synthetic drag.
It's where you just kind of click a lever and it can almost free spool.
Oh yeah.
The reel, it clicks it back in. It's a bait runner. It's called a bait runner.
Yeah, the bait runners.
Yeah. And
I got one on my Cast King 5000.
Yeah. So I've got like a 6,000, 8,000 size of the Thunus CI4s, and those are probably my favorite reels. I like those a lot. But I've got, and then I do bass fishing too, and I've got for the bass stuff, I've got mainly St. Croix stuff. Got a few G Loomis rods, but my wife says I got a fishing rod problem because I've got like 30 different rods. But I need my bass rods, and I got my panfish rods. I've got my catfish rods. I got my striper rods. When you multi-species fish, you need a lot of rods.
You're like me. I have, I think, 14 rods in my truck.
Mm-hmm.
And people ask me, why do you have so many rods in your truck? I says, because they're each for specific fish types and set up for certain fish.
Yeah, we ended up bringing, for this trip Norfolk last week, the two of us ended up bringing 21 rods with us. And didn't use them all. We were hoping to have some good weather, do some night catfishing. I've got 4 Big Cat Fever rods set up with the slime line. And of course, you do that with the black light and stuff. It looks awesome, back there on the back of the boat. And we just never ended up doing that because it was cold at night. We were miserable. And the wind was pretty bad each day. So we ended up just getting up early trying to get the morning bite for stripers. And then by the time it got dark, we were tired. I was asleep by 9:30 a lot of nights, which is kind of rare for me. I usually stay up late. But we're getting up at 4 a.m. We get up at 4 a.m. to get out there.
Okay. Welcome, Brian B. Catfish and Crappie. And Del Hayslip and Catfish Nations and some of the new people that's in the chat. If you like what you see, just hit the subscribe button, the bell icon, and hit a thumbs up.
Yeah.
So that way you can catch us every week when we're on and every time we post a video.
Yeah, it was like Lynn Leeper's in there too. I don't know if you mentioned him.
Oh, Lynn Leeper Welcome, bud. Now, monofilament or braid?
I got both. But most of the time I'm using braid with a monoliter for catfish. Except for like I said, I got 4 rods set up with 30-pound, or I think it's 40-pound slime line, just because if I want a night fish, just because I like the way it looks. And but that's about the only ones. Every other rod I have is set up with usually Power Pro, and I'll use the big game line trialing for leaders.
Well, hello, Antique catfishing. Now, do you bump or drift?
If I've never bumped because I've never been on. I don't do enough river fishing with big current to even do that.
Okay.
One of these days, I'm hoping, me and Lyle have talked about doing it sometime, going out fishing together, and hopefully we get a spot to do that. And I know he keeps talking about doing that with Mike Greenwell, and if that ever happens, I'd like to tag along. Bumping just seems like it would be a fun thing to do. I definitely want to learn to do that.
Yeah.
That's on my, definitely list of wants to do. But I'm usually, a lot of times I'll anchor up just because I like, just sitting there. But for the striper fishing we did, we hit some big flats and stuff, and we did. I don't know. I want to say it was really such a drift, but more of a controlled, slow troll, basically.
Right.
The fish were seeming to be like in the 30-foot mark, where we were marking most of the schools of the bait, and I just would go, 0.3, 0.4 miles per hour, dragging baits. You have 4 rods or 6 rods down, and I didn't do this much time, but sometimes you'll have the 2, basically like a free line. Especially if you got the shad, you put 2 big shad out the back with no weight at all, and just free line them back there as you're going slow. So,
okay, Thomas. I can't help but we have a 45-second delay.
what Thomas say? I see he says the sea that one is about 50 grand. Yeah.
Oh, Thomas is saying if your answers are slow, it's because we know you went to the school in Illinois.
Oh.
He likes stirring the pot.
That's okay.
Hi, Robert Andrews, Brian B.
People can stir
Maurice.
the pot. I can take it and I can dish it too. So
Oh, so can I. Maurice Kaysen, the most famous of all subscribers to every catfish channel that we have.
Yeah, he's in everywhere.
He never misses a live stream or a video or anything.
No, he's in. Every time I'm in one, I'm usually seeing him. I guess
Robert Andrews, welcome. Now, do you bank fish?
I like to bank fish, yeah. I don't have a ton of area around here where I do that, but there's a few times a year we'll go down right below the dam at Truman Lake and fish off the rocks there. There's actually a whole group of people on Facebook called Truman Rock Rats, and they're always posting stuff. We'll go down there and throw some swim baits, whatever, and just certain times of year when they're running up, they're pretty good. But growing up, I fished in a boat some, but me and my dad, that's what he loved to do, bank fish. I grew up in the Dallas area, and we'd fish Trinity River a lot, bank. And then before that, when I was younger, we did live in the Chicago area. We had a spot in Wisconsin we'd go every year, and it was almost all bank fishing, except for one day, during the trip, we'd always rent a boat and go in a certain area where they had a lot of stumps and stuff. He'd call it stump fishing. It'd be like 4 or 5 foot of water, but man, you catch some great fishing in that shallow water in the stumps. Everything's in there.
Oh yeah, normally where you find stumps,
yeah,
in underwater trees,
mm-hmm.
as both standing and laying over is where you're gonna find a lot of your flatheads.
Yeah, but I'm a fisherman, so I don't care what style it is. It's a bank, boat, whatever, kayak, I'll do it all, and I don't care what species it is.
No, I don't care. I don't care much on the species, but I do target a lot of catfish in the warmer months,
mm-hmm.
like April, May, June, all the way up and all year long. I'll try to get big cats.
And I used to spend a lot more time bass fishing, and which is fun. I mean, I like bass fishing, but you start catching the bigger fish like the catfish and the stripers that fight so good, and I mean, you start looking at bass as bait. Then I mean, I can't use bass as bait, but these guys fishing Table Rock. That's probably one of the closest lakes to me is Table Rock Lake, which is a great bass fishing lake. I know guys will fish that every weekend all year long, and maybe the biggest fish they catch all year is 6 or 7 pounds. And I mean, yeah, it's a nice bass. Congratulations. But when I go catfishing, and sometimes the smallest fish I might catch is 7 pounds.
Justin wants to. He missed your answer earlier, so he asked braid or mono.
My preference is braid with a mono leader. That's usually what I'm going to do in most cases. Except for, like I said, if I'm night fishing for catfish, I got the slime line just because I put the black lights on it. It looks really cool, but I'm just not a big fan of the stretch of the mono.
No, I like the hookup ratio better with the braid than I do the mono.
Yeah, and I use the mono leader just because the abrasion resistance.
Right.
But other than that, no. I like to. I could feel the fight better with the braid. Got a lot more control. And if you got good quality reels that with the good drags, let that do the work. I don't need the stretch at all. And then especially if you get hung up, I hate the stretch of braid. I mean mono when I get hung up.
Antique Catfishing wants to know what's your go-to bait for catfish.
So it's gonna be shad. That'd be the first thing I try to use. Probably again I talked a little bit earlier about the river worms. If we get those, I like doing those. Not so much night crawlers that you buy. It's, you got to catch, get them off the river because they're just, I mean, that's what the fish in the river eat a lot of when they can. And then cut bluegill. I use live bluegill, cut bluegill because that's usually, especially in the warmer months, something that's really easy to get.
Have you ever tried skipjack and red horse sucker and Asian carp?
I have not because, well, I used skipjack when we fished Wheeler Lake at that tournament I went to, just because I was able to, get some off somebody. We went down to actually try to catch them one evening and couldn't catch any. And the guy was selling a bunch, so I got him that way. But what I understand is that the skipjack doesn't work as good in this area where I'm at, just because it's not, native to the lakes here.
Yeah.
And I don't. Most of the stuff I do is on lakes. About the only river fishing I do is the Osage River going to Truman, and there's no skipjack in there either. So,
right,
a native, type of fish to take.
I know Table Rock has carp and buffalo.
Yeah.
You catch one of them, and you can just cut up while it's bloody, and just put it on the circle hook and just put it back out there.
Yeah, well, it's definitely going as bait. I got no problem at all doing that. Yeah.
Well, what I like to do with them before I cut them up is I scale them, get the scales off the skin.
Mm-hmm. I've heard of people doing that, and then also like kind of bludgeon them a little bit to get a lot more.
Yeah, bludgeon them and cut them up.
Yeah.
And throw them in a Ziploc baggie with the blood in it and let them set for about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to try to, next time me and Ray go on the river, I was going to plan on trying to at least catch one carp, because he'll throw the cast and he's good at that. He'll go down to a place called Kaplinger Mills here in Missouri, and one throw of the net below that area. Usually get enough shad to last you a couple of days. And he'll get that boat.
I'm waiting for the shad to start running here, because when they do that, I go up to Frank Horseshoe Lake and catch them anywhere from 3/4 of an inch all the way up to about a pound.
Yeah.
Pound and a half shad.
Mm-hmm.
And I just keep the big ones and I throw the smaller ones back.
Yeah.
I'll keep a few of them that's maybe 3 to 8 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Right, just put them on the hook hole and live and just cast them out.
Yep. Yeah, that one video I got on my channel, the catfish carp one, we were using worms mainly. And I caught carp and caught some smaller catfish on that. But one of the rods I had out had a live shad on it, and that's what I caught that flathead in the video on.
Yeah.
And they like them live bait.
Oh, they love the live bait, especially if you catch it fresh and you put a hook through it
Mm-hmm.
and catch him back out there and just let him swim around.
Right.
Those big, those big cats that just destroy him.
Yeah. And then, you know, like if I can hit the river at the right time when like the white bass are running, I mean, go up there with the little small swim bait and just tear them up. That's always fun.
I know when striped bass and hybrid bass are running down here,
Mm-hmm.
I'll go out there with the cast net and get those little 3/4 inch shad,
Yeah.
3/4 inch up to inch and a half, 2 inch shad.
Mm-hmm.
Put them on a Santee Cooper rig with a catfish rattle behind it.
Right.
Those
Yeah.
stripers and striped bass, I hit them like a candy.
Oh yeah, they will. I mean, when they're going good, man, they'll hit cut bait too. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I also watch Justin's, you know, kayak catfish and stuff, and how many stripers have you caught in the Tennessee River, you know, with cut bait? They're they're voracious, and man, do they fight good. That's
But first,
probably the most fun fish to catch is a big striper
oh
because
yeah.
they are just drag ripping, you know, fish. And you know, you hook them, and they'll just make that one big run right off the bat. It just hold on. They're fun.
Oh yeah. It gets crazy.
Hmm. Yeah. So you know, it's to me, it's all
Yes.
fun. It's whatever.
Justin says he beats the snot out of the carp,
Yeah.
scales it, then chunks it up.
Yep.
That's
Gets
the best way to do it.
get that blood all throughout the meat. Yeah. Like you know, those the big catfish. They'll smell that a mile away. It's a good way to do it.
Oh yeah, it's a real good way.
Way more.
So
But yeah, then Justin says drum is good bait too. I definitely would use drum if I, you know, caught one. And we do catch them on that Osage River when using the worms especially. So I'm definitely gonna try that if I get one too.
uh
Right now,
Lee Evans wants to know if you fish out of the boat or bank.
I do bank, boat, and kayak, all three. And then if I'm last couple of videos I had, I was fishing off of or under a bridge or off of a pier when I was down in Florida. We do the pier fishing, fish off a little area under a bridge. I've already been to Florida twice this year, so I did a little saltwater fishing, catching some speckled trout and some Spanish mackerel. That was fun.
Oh yeah, I bet you that was.
Yeah. I don't do a lot of saltwater fishing, but we had a trip we had planned, you know, that a few weeks ago for spring break, went down to Destin area. But actually, I think it's 2 or 3 weeks before that, my wife got invited to coach down in Naples. So last minute, got a couple of very expensive plane tickets and went down there for a few days. We were supposed to be down there for a couple of days, and then that's when all the ice was hitting everywhere, you know, in Dallas and here, and
Oh yeah.
plane got delayed by 2 days, so we got 2 extra days down there. And
2 extra days of fishing, huh?
yeah, so I spent most of the days when she was busy on Naples too, catching those. Actually, I got one nice catfish there, the one of the hardest was gap topper, they call it. I got a video on that one. And then the park that she was coaching soccer at a pond, I did a little bass fishing there also.
Do you CPR or do you freeze fish?
No, like I said, if I'm fishing, I throw everything back. I've got no problem eating fish, but I'm not a big, you know, fish eating fan, and I'm too lazy to keep them and clean them. That's just the truth. I just take a picture, get a video, and they go back. So that's just my preferred way. But if I'm with somebody who wants to keep it, you know, I'm like, it's all yours if you want to clean it. So you know, it's nothing. And I'll get nothing against people keeping and eating fish. I mean, that's
No.
the reason God put them on the earth. So, but I go stop at Chick-fil-A on the way home, eat some chicken. I'm happy with that.
No. Have you ever used chicken for bait?
I have not. I have not done that yet. People are kind of, the more I hear about it, I'm like, oh man,
Thank you, guys.
maybe I need to try it. And, I think eventually I will. But up until now, I have not.
What kind of circle hooks do you use?
Most of everything I got is Gamakatsu, big cat octopus circle. And then I bought a good batch of them recently from Hooker's Terminal Tackle. So I've got some of my bigger ones. If I'm really going to go targeting big catfish, I'll use those. He's got those, I forgot what they call them. They're like double action, whatever. And I cannot think of the name right now off the top of my head. But like when we were striper fishing this past week, I was using just basically one-aught octopus circle hooks from Gamakatsu. And they've never let me down, so just keep using them.
I'm trying to keep up with chat with questions.
Yeah, I need to look at that actually. I haven't. I see Justin saying striper fishing is Gabby's favorite fish to catch, and I mean I can see why. I said they are so fun to catch.
Mm-hmm. Are they backstabbers?
That sounds about right. I think that's what they are. Yeah.
Those backstabber circle hooks are good.
Yeah.
Especially if you get them offset.
I would look, but everything's in my boat right now, and I keep my boat in a storage building about 7 miles from the house, so I don't have access to anything right now to look at.
No, that'd be a little bit too far to walk to get a hook.
Yeah. Well, the boat's too big to keep in the garage, and so I just got a big storage building that's like whatever 20 or 18 by 46, and just back it in when I'm done using it. But I'm trying to get a boat slip on Lake Norfolk this year because again my wife likes that lake. It's nice, clean water and stuff, and it's just like a lot of lakes. You could be on a waiting list for a year to get a boat slip somewhere.
Ohio one wants to know where you fish in Arkansas.
My two favorite lakes in Arkansas is Norfolk, which is what I was just on, or Beaver Lake. Those are my two favorite ones. I've never fished Bull Shoals, and I need to do that one day because that's, again, close to my house also. And so I'm going to eventually get out there to try it. But it's a Norfolk Lake is where I'm going to try to keep my boat this year if I can get on there.
Thomas says he has a Hooker's Terminal Tackle, backstabbers, and 9-aught.
Yep. I got some 9-aught, some 10-aught, and I think that's the biggest I got. I might have one bigger size that they sent me, that little package deal going. Yeah, I'm a Laker. Definitely am. Okay. Mountain Home. Yeah, that's where we're at. I was Cherokee Village, Arkansas. I'm trying to think exactly what that is, how far from Mountain Home that is. But yeah, we were out there at Take It Easy Resort in Norfolk this past week. Went into Mountain Home a few times to eat groceries. If you're in Mountain Home, there's a place called Old Mill Brewery, or I think it's called. Very good food. Highly recommend that one. Oh, 1 hour away. Boston Celtics. Okay, well, Matt.
I don't know why that came up.
Matt, next, if I get my boat on Norfolk, I need a fishing buddy one day. If I'm going down alone, I'll have to hit you up. Make sure to send me a Facebook request if you're on there. Because I always, I hate fishing alone. If I get somebody fishing with me, I'll go all the time.
Thomas says he tried to lake
with the buddy.
last weekend. He finds out he's a river guy.
Okay. Rivers are fun.
Rivers are fun, but I like the challenge of a lake.
Yeah. I think, I kind of like the safety of a lake, and then there's the whole idea of where, like, on the lake, fish are really, deep. I've got deep water. I can go in any cove I want if I really want to catch catfish. Like this trip here, we expected this white bass to be running up river. And so we went way up the river, even though we weren't up there yet. So I just like the variety of the lakes. And then again, if my wife goes, she likes clean water. She wants to get in the water in the summertime. She's not going to do that in a river anywhere, you know. But Norfolk will have,
Yeah.
you know, in the summertime when things are nice and calm. I mean, there's times where you'll have 20, 25 foot of visibility. I mean, it's just super clean lake.
Thomas, some of those fish that's in the lake, I would not go swimming in. Last summer, I hooked into a guard, Frank Holton,
hmm
that is almost 4 foot, 5 foot,
Yeah,
and is almost as big as a log in
yeah,
girth.
yeah. They get big, and you know, I don't know. I don't get in the lake too much to swim at all. My wife will, but to me, if there's water there, it's made for fishing. That's it.
Well, at least Frank Holton and Grand Marais, it's illegal to go swimming, wading, or ice skating.
hmm
Hey, Jason Lanham, how you doing, bud? Welcome. Dan's Creation.
Hey, Jason.
Now,
I see Dan here now. Hey, Dan.
oh yeah, Jason Lamb. Now he's a cat fisherman.
hmm
He's in Illinois. He's up northern part of Illinois, but he's up around Powerton Lake and all that.
Okay. I don't even know where Powerton's at. What part of Illinois is that in?
That's up around Chicago.
Okay. So does he fish the Fox River too with Mark?
I don't think so. I think it's more closer to the Quad Cities
Okay.
by Iowa and Illinois.
I remember when I was younger, we'd fish Illinois River around Starved Rock area a lot of times when I was little.
Yeah, he fishes Illinois.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great fishing area too. The campground of the boat dock was underwater for a while. Especially last year on Norfolk, they had a lot of flooding. There's a lot of stuff underwater. Right now, it's at a pretty good level right now, you know. But if they have a lot of good rains coming up soon, it's gonna be flooded. And that whole Sand Island, Jordan, you know, marina area, just all that be underwater. People getting mad about it.
Thank you, Mark. I didn't know. I couldn't remember where the Powerton was at.
Oh, Pekin.
But Pekin, Illinois.
Yep. But yeah, when I was, you know, like I said, until about fourth grade, I was born in the Chicago area, and we lived in you know the western suburbs, and then I'd actually moved back for a year after high school. We were up in the Fox River Grove area, so flew to the Fox River. Never fished it, but there was going back to the Melitectin part of my video. There was a old campground area along the Fox River, and man, we found all kinds of old coins there. We had a great time there.
Mark, he loves the Fox River for flatheads.
Yep. Yeah, it's a neat river system.
It is.
I would like to go back and fish it one of these days.
Oh, that'd be the man to go hook up with.
Yeah. And I'm really tempted to do that Mendota trip people are doing here in May for the channel catfish.
Well, if you do get a hold of, if you need any more information on it, look up, get a hold of Catfish and Crappie.
Yeah. They got a Facebook group. I'm a part of that, so I, you know, get the details.
Mm-hmm.
I just looked the other day, and I'm actually off work that week, so I might look into that. I think it would be a very fun trip to do.
Oh yeah.
I just probably see if I could, you know, rent a boat maybe, because I don't want to haul the Angler Quest all the way up there. But I do have a friend who's in Minnesota. He's interested in going too, so maybe he'll meet me there with his boat. If we go, I don't know yet, but
I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of people that's going from in the catfish community.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's gonna be people with a boat.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be an issue. But after hearing, you know, like people talk about what they're doing on there, you know, catching those big channel cats in that shallow water, I mean, how fun would that be? That'd be so much fun. So that's definitely something I'm interested in trying.
Yeah.
And besides, you know, I've seen, you know, look at the people that are going. I mean, how fun it'd be just to hang around with those guys. And
Well, if I didn't have my meet and greet the week after,
hmm
I'd be going.
Yeah.
But that was just kind of. I already had this planned before the Mendota thing came up. I'm like, okay, I'd already had it set up and ready, getting it planned out and everything. And then they come up with the Mendota thing. I'm like, dang it.
Well, I need to look at your meet and greet and see my schedule if I'm off because you're a lot closer to me than Mendota is.
Yeah, it's May 20th through the 24th.
Okay, I'll check my schedule and see if something's available because
And
that's cool too.
huh?
And that'd be fun to go to also.
Oh yeah,
Do that.
you'll have a good chance to catch some nice big crappie and some cats.
That's how I spell fun right there. That is fun.
You're like 7 hours away from Sharina and Thomas.
Okay, where are they at?
They're in southern Ohio or Indiana.
Okay. Yeah, if anybody's, I'm in Springfield, Missouri, so I'm in Southwest Missouri. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, you're about a good 4 hour drive from me if I drive the speed limits.
Right.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, it's usually, of course, when we get to St. Louis, no telling what the traffic's going to be like. I mean,
Well, I like using the they're in southern Indiana.
okay.
I like using going through the St. Louis traffic and use it like a test track.
Okay. a lot of people
If
do.
you understand that one.
A lot of people do. If it's not, so bogged down that you can't move at all, people are just flying.
Yeah.
It's actually worse than Kansas City. I'm like, I tell you, feel like if you're going 80 miles per hour, you're going to get past there in Kansas City. It's crazy.
Oh, you go 70 miles an hour in St. Louis, you're gonna get past like you're sitting still.
Yeah.
He's an hour north of Evansville, Indiana.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's just off 64
Yep.
by an hour.
Yeah. So both my Sea Arc boat that I bought and the Angler Quest I bought from Jeff Jones Marine. So I'd go right through that area, across 64 into Kentucky there to pick up the boat.
Now, what modifications have you done on pontoon boat?
I haven't do anything to it. I mean, it comes the way I bought it. It came with rod holders already, and it's basically got a company called Trax Tech. They build these tracks onto the walls and have these like rocket launcher rod holders. Then I've got 2 trolling trees also that have 3 of the rocket launcher holders also on there. And they basically came with the boat the way I had it set up. The one thing I had them do extra on the boat was add a 5th battery. So I've got 3 batteries for the trolling motor, and I've got that in a whole separate system from that electronics, so there's no feedback to mess up with the graph. It has its own battery charger and everything. And then under the center console, there's 2 batteries. One's dedicated just to the starter. Another one is, for whatever, the stereo system, lights, and then my bait tank. So that bait tank, you run that thing all day long. That's pulling a lot of juice also. And I had a issue years ago on a bass boat that I had where I only had one, battery run the starter and all that stuff. We were up fishing on northern Minnesota, right there on the interior border, me and my cousin. We were way back in the middle of nowhere and running electronics all day. Sun's going down. We had about a 8-mile drive back to the resort, and I go to crank that thing and nothing. No cell service, nothing. And I cannot get that thing started. Luckily, I had one of those battery bank chargers, a Wego, that was big enough. It had the jumper cables. It was just enough juice to get this thing started. If not, I might still be lost up there. Who knows? I mean, because where we were, nobody was going to find us easily. It could have been days. So since that day, I've never, I've always had an extra battery in the boat now.
Oh yeah.
That was a lesson learned. But yeah, that was a neat trip. We were fishing in Crane Lake in Minnesota, and it goes over to the Ontario side. So got the passports and would fish up in Ontario also.
Oh yeah.
We're targeting pike and muskie and smallmouth. And then I know I've seen a lot of times recently, especially on the Panfish Nation stuff going on, talking about the yellow perch. And man, one of the days we're fishing up there, we got on the school those yellow perch, and I'll tell you that was one of the most fun, trips of the day.
We have Betty Jean in the house.
Hey, Betty, how you doing?
Get well soon, girl.
And so we just sat down at school of perch for a couple hours and just pulled one after the other out. That was fun.
And we have Maurice in the house. Glad to hear that your wife is in remission. We pray that she gets better.
Yes.
And you get well soon too, Betty Jean.
That's good news, Maurice. I love hearing that.
It's real good to hear that his wife is getting better. Because they were going to the hospital almost every day for the longest period of time.
Right.
So, do you fish for catfish year-round or just certain times of year?
I'll fish year-round. It seems like, the guy I fish with here locally, he likes to go more in the later part of spring when the water warms up a little bit. But me, I'll go whenever. Because, you look at, especially the blues really seem to turn on, in the wintertime. And it just, that and the Melitech stuff, it's year-round for me. If I could go, as I get older now, I find myself a little less tolerant to the cold than I used to be, so if it's super cold, wait till a little bit warmer day. But, to me, it's just like I don't really have a time frame or whatever when I'll do stuff. If I got somebody wants to go catfishing one day, and I don't care if it's middle of December or middle of January, let's go.
Catfish and crappie. Mark wants to know how fast is that sweet pontoon, Bob?
We headed up to loaded down with 2 fat guys, tons of gear, and a 50-gallon bait tank loaded with water. We headed up to 43 miles per hour on this trip, and I wasn't even really pushing it a bunch. But it'll do in low 40s, maybe hit 45 on a good day. It's got a tuner Suzuki 250 Super Sport on it. Pushes it plenty good for me. Yeah, Mark's seen some of the pictures I put on it, so I think he likes the boat too. But yeah, I did like that Sea Arc a lot, that ProCat 240, but I don't regret it.
Yeah, Jason, I can't wait for the catfish season to open up too. So Mark says, "Giddy up."
Yep. But yeah, I'll fish year round. But yeah, like Jason's saying there, flathead season coming up, and I know that flatheads are a lot more active in the warm water. So, I'm not going to be fishing middle of wintertime and targeting flatheads because you're going to get disappointed most times.
I love targeting flatheads because they put up more of a fight.
Yeah.
They're a good biting fish, and I tell you what, they don't let you see them.
No.
Until the last few minutes after you get them close to the bank or to the boat.
Yeah. Mark just posted he had a guy in the Fox River, the 400 Mercury on a tune. Wow.
That is some power behind the tune.
Yeah. That's a lot of money too. I thought that my 250 Suzuki was expensive. I'm not putting a 400 on it.
Yeah, well, what behind yours?
The 250 Suzuki.
Man, you're still pushing power.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it'll go as fast as I wanted to go. As fast as I need it. Going low 40s, mid 40s. That's plenty. I don't need to go any faster. My wife likes if I just keep it, around 20 miles per hour. She goes, that's fast enough. She didn't like how fast the Sea Arc went, and that's whatever hit 58 or whatever 57. And I had that Phoenix bass boat, I could do over 70 in that thing, and she would just scream,
Oh,
"Stop! Slow down!" She hated it.
even 40 on a good river on that tune, you'd be hauling butt.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like I'm to me, it's perfect. It's I don't think I'd change anything on that boat at all. The only thing I like to have is a place for some rod storage, and as rods placed on the back rack, you have the rods stand up, and that's how I travel to the lake. But if like this lockable rod storage would be nice. So if I'm in a boat dock, then I could keep them locked up instead of taking them out because it seems like lakes down here in Arkansas and almost anywhere nowadays, you almost can't leave stuff on the boat anymore.
No,
People's going to steal it. It's a sad state of affairs right now, but that's just the way it is.
you can't even leave things in your truck.
No, you can't. 27 is good enough, Mark. It'll get you where you want to go.
I don't plan on ever getting a boat because I feel safer on land than I do in a boat.
Yeah.
Because I see how some of these people are careless. Once you take a person off land, I mean not everybody, but some of the people I've seen lately,
Mm-hmm.
take them off land, put them in a stick with a motor on it, and they lose all sensibility and reason.
Yeah.
I can swim, Mark. I just don't choose to have another boat try to high tide me or broadside me.
That's why usually if I'm fishing in the summertime when it's more crowded, I prefer going during the week. Stay off the lake on the weekends, and then I definitely don't want to go on any holiday weekends.
No.
There's just too many idiots out there. If I'm going to go on the busier times, usually, if you got the fish pattern good enough, you know where they're going to be at, and then
Uh-huh.
I'll basically, if I'm right, I'm going to go right to that spot first thing early morning before it gets crowded and stay there all day long.
Now, what kind of electronics do you have on your boats?
On the pontoon boat, I've got a Humminbird Solix 12 unit, and then again the kayak, like I talked about, I've got the Lowrance HGS 7 Live.
And
They're both good units. I like them.
yeah,
Haven't looked at any of the live scope, that kind of stuff yet. I may eventually put that on the pontoon, put some live scope or like the 360. I just haven't really looked at it too much yet.
sneak up on the fish.
There you go.
That'd take a while to sneak up on them.
Yeah, 40 horsepower. Yeah. You're looking probably what, a 18 miles per hour top speed?
About that. That'd be almost like something you'd want to use for bass fishing.
Yep. But tell you what people don't understand is like the pontoon boats. Like, okay, we spent 4 or 5 days on lake, and usually, you get off a bass boat or even a Sea Arc. After being out there all day, you just feel like you're doing this all day. I just got this feeling like I'm just still swaying. That pontoon boat was just so steady. And just, we had a lot of windy days. We were out, in the main part of the lake too. And man, it handles it so well. And then at one point we're driving back. One of the days I was hitting probably 40 miles per hour trying to get back before it got dark to the boat dock, and had a bass boat whiz past me, a little bit in front of me doing 70, making a big wake. I hit that wake, that thing is, and usually, you'd have that boom, boom, boom in a flat, bass boat or whatever.
Yeah.
That pontoon boat is just like, oh, did we hit the wake? It just cuts right through it so well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the people who haven't really fished out of a pontoon or driven one do not realize how well they handle. It's amazing. Super happy. Like I said,
I
I've
guess I'm.
taken a
I guess
skinny
the
rod
reason.
in wooded areas and stuff. I can get through stuff pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't feel like
I
I'm.
guess. I guess the main reason why I can bank so much is I can move around a lot more than you can in a boat.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like when I'm bank fishing, I just feel so limited at times because I feel like
Yeah,
especially
limited in spot.
area, then you got go down the bank if you're river fishing, and then you got all these trees. Well, the next spot may be, 100 yards down. We got lift everything up and go down there, or
Yeah.
fishing in a lake. Just say if I'm pan fishing, whatever, from the bank or bass fishing, it's just like you got this little area, and then I feel like I'm not covering much area. So then I gotta find a way to the next spot. Next spot's usually trees and this and that, and I don't know. I feel limited. Whereas on the boat, if I want to work a shoreline, I just get in the front of the boat and put it on a slow little troll and get off the motor, and I just do my casting and stuff.
That's why, as a bank fisherman,
Hmm.
I don't use the regular tackle box anymore. I have a backpack tackle box that's
Yeah.
designed for catfishing, crappie, bass fishing, tiger muskie fishing,
Oh yeah.
and I can just toss it on my back and carry my rods and my bait bucket or whatever, and just go.
Yep. So you musky fish too? You said.
Yeah, if I go for muskies, I go down to either Peabody strip mines. They have Eagle Lake there that has some muskies there, or I go down to Kincaid.
Yep.
And
I've
they,
I got a musky fishing a few years ago, and we've been up to Vermilion in Wisconsin several times. And then, of course, that little lake just north of me, I told you that a kayak fish on just north of Springfield. They actually stock muskie there. I haven't caught one yet, but I'm planning on one thing I want to do pretty soon here is do some trolling for muskie before the water gets too warm.
mm-hmm.
The kayak. I'll take the kayak there. I got the two rod holders set up. I'll probably put like a small, like a grandma or Jake on one and a believer on the other. Have two rods going. And just do a slow troll off the main lake points.
Now I'll tell you one thing that you probably don't know about muskie. The best time they go on the feeding frenzy
Mhm.
is early morning before sunup.
Yep. Yeah, every time we've musky fished before, we'd always get on the water before the sun comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got actually, if you look at my YouTube channel, my banner picture, that's me holding a muskie. That was a 48-inch Ricon Vermilion. We'd fished all day that day, throwing big bucktails. I mean, if you haven't musky fished, it's some of the toughest fishing you could do.
Oh yeah, it is. Especially when you're throwing a 12, 14 to 16-inch
Yeah,
bucktail.
you're throwing these big bucktails. You're doing figure eights on every cast and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We'd fished all day from before the sun come up, and then that fish there, you could tell in the picture is dark, and that was at the end of the day. We're fishing past dark, and we had one good follow early in the day, so we went back to that spot at night when the sun went down, and on by the third cast there, um, and by the second loop of my figure eight, that thing hit, and just enough ambient light from some houses along the bank. We're pretty close to the bank. I just see this big like silver flash, and then all of a sudden it just blew up right there. Luckily,
Everybody knows what a stinger rig is here in catfishing community,
Mhm.
but for muskie, they don't know what a quickset rig is.
Yeah.
At quickset rig, when you're using live bait for muskie,
Hmm.
is a must.
I've never live bait fished for muskie. I've done all just lures and stuff. But
I
yeah,
like doing the. Can you wrench it back in the water? I don't understand that one, Robert.
what was it? I guess I missed that one.
It's the last statement that came up.
Oh.
But yes, there are fish of 1,000 casts unless you're trolling for them or going after live bait where you already know where to like to hang out.
Yeah.
And if I know where they're hanging out, I'll go put a quick set rig on there with a live sucker or carp on it.
Mm-hmm.
Put it right in front of them.
Yeah, but that's we're
And
talking about the different rods and stuff, and that's a whole other set of rods I got. I usually keep those in the storage building. I don't use them as often, but I've got several of the St. Croix Legend muskie rods. Those are beautiful rods too.
I use my 11-foot cat buster rods for muskies.
Hmm.
I use my heavy action rods for them.
Yep. But again, I'm a big St. Croix fan, so Legend series they make some nice muskie rods. I'm happy with those. But I guess that's if you're going to look at the limitations of the pontoon boat I have, it's probably muskie fishing. Now, again, I got that front deck where I can sit there and fish and do a figure eight good, but the rest of the boat, back, it's too hard to do. Figure eight.
Front of the pontoon boat where you don't got the beamy top is a perfect spot to be doing your casting with. Yeah. For muskies because you can do those perfect figure eights.
Yeah. And so mine has the extended thing, but if you're gonna have, 2 or 3 guys in the boat, there's not enough room to do those casting in. So that'd be the limitation of my pontoon boat. But the lake close to my house with a muskie, it's I can't put my boat on anyways. They have a horsepower limit, so I'll go muskie fish out the kayak.
Now, out of all the fishing that you do, what is the one species of fish that you like to fish for the most?
It's going to be a toss-up between striper and catfish. I mean, if somebody says, "Hey, let's go fishing. What do you want to go fish for?" It's going to be that's striper catfish. Depends on what lake we're going to, what I'm going to target most.
Yeah,
that's going to be it over pretty much anything. But I'll do a couple of crappie trips a year. Because those are fun too. But
they're fun to fight because they're like a giant bluegill on steroids.
But if somebody says, okay, for the next year, you can only fish for one species the entire year, it's going to be catfish. Just because, the variety of waters you can fish. The downside with like striper fishing, especially in the summertime, is they go deep. And usually if you catch them, they're not going to survive. Just like muskie fishing. You catch a muskie in 85-degree water, it ain't going to live. You might see it away, but that thing's going to die. And kind of like the stripers too. So, it's like you can't sit there and just fish all day, especially a catch and release guy. So I know if I release them, they're going to probably die. Whereas, I can fish for catfish all day long and throw them back in.
You got a select group of fish like your stripers, your walleyes, your northern pikes, your muskies, your tiger muskies.
Yep.
They're not a warm weather, hot water fish. They're more of a night fish where the water temperatures drop, and a spring and fall fish that you can fish for them.
Right.
And they're not something you want to just pull it out for a couple hours and take pictures with it laid in the boat until you land your second one.
No.
You need to get that fish unhooked, get your pictures, and get it back in the water as soon as possible. Because if you leave it laying out there for any long period of time, it'll die.
And you want to talk about the most psychotic group of fishermen? That's the muskie guys. You don't handle
those people are crazy.
You take a picture and not holding that fish just right. I mean, wow. They will flame you on Facebook. I mean, they will threaten you. It's crazy. They're so protective of that species because they know they're so fragile. I understand that, but still, it's just, I don't even go on any of the muskie boards anymore because anybody posts a picture, it's just like so much negativity.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you've probably seen it, but it just ain't right,
Every time I go down to Kincaid to go after channel cats, they think I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah,
I'm not muskie fishing.
right. But that Kincaid's a good lake for muskie fishing. I've never fished it, but I've heard a lot of good things about it.
It's got some 50-inch, some 50-pound muskies in there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a good multi-species lake. I mean, it's got a lot of good stuff in it besides the muskie.
But I tell you what, whoever, if they have never hooked into a muskie before, and they do,
Mm-hmm.
look out.
Yeah, especially when you do that on the figure eight. So retrieve that
Uh-huh.
and
I don't think you're just going to pull him up after you hook him on the figure eight. It ain't going to happen.
no, so I hooked that 48-inch muskie. I didn't wait, of course, but they're big, 48 inch. And that thing bites your lure when you've got basically 1 foot of line out from the tip. And you set that hook and it's just going to make a run.
It's going to it makes a long run.
Yeah. But yeah, you hook any big fish like that with a foot of line from out, and
expect a good 100-yard run.
Yeah, it's a heart stopper. It really is. And I think that's kind of like the thrill of muskie fishing, is because I mean they're such predators that you get them following your lure to the last minute and not hitting it until you're right by the boat. Yeah, there's some great muskie videos on YouTube if you really want to see some exciting stuff.
But I found out one thing about a good crappie lake, like Kincaid.
Yeah.
After they stocked that lake almost 30 years ago, or 40 years ago, 30 years ago with muskies, that has become one of the best crappie lakes that you could ever find.
Yeah, there's a lot of missed thoughts about the muskies. Like they think if you put muskies in the lake, it's going to kill all the bass and crappie and stuff, and it never works out that way.
No, it don't, because they're not. I found out, and I keep learning more about them every year, that those muskies are more after carp, Asian carp, stuff like that. And the bigger they get, the bigger the fish they're going to eat.
Right.
If they take muskies and stock them in lakes that have big carps and like your silver carp and your big head carp and your Asian carp, we wouldn't have a problem.
Right. Exactly. Even the bait fish they eat, they prefer fatty bait fish with soft fins. They don't like those spiky. And so, that's what they're going to target. And they're voracious eaters. They're going to get what they want. I mean, they're super fast fish. And I mean, almost
yeah, Jason, they do love ducks.
Yeah.
Muskies do love ducks.
Yeah.
Babies or an adult, they don't care.
The duck lures and stuff that company makes, I've used that for trying to catch them.
I couldn't believe that one day I was on covered boat dock down there at Kincaid, 11 feet of water fishing for crappie. A mom and 16 baby ducks are just going out from the bank. They got maybe 15 feet from the shore and 3 ducks disappeared in one bite. All you seen was the top of this mouth come up. 1 duck, 2 duck, 3 ducks. Boom, and they're gone.
Just like that.
Yeah, but you didn't even get to see a fire. You didn't see him get gutted or anything. Just inhaled by a muskie.
Yeah, they're fun fish. It's just, if the reason I don't do as much as I used to is because, they're hard to catch, and there's a lot of skunk days you get, and that gets old after a while. And the lakes down here that I've got, they stock some of that lake by me. Then there's Palm de Tir, which is about an hour drive for me. They stock them there, but it's still not like huge populations where you're like, you're going to catch 1 or 2 every time you go out. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Soon as the bass guys catch more bass fishing than the muskie guys muskie fishing.
the population of muskies at Kincaid have grown.
That's good.
All right, have a good night, antique catfishing. And happy Easter, everybody in chat.
Yes, happy Easter.
I hope everybody had a great day. It was a beautiful day here, so I went fishing and enjoyed myself.
So I went to church, got some lunch, and then we talked about going out to do a walk or do something nice outdoors because it was so nice, but then got tired and ended up laying in bed and watching Zack Snyder cut a Justice League for 4 hours before I got on. It's been
I
watching.
almost didn't go fishing today.
Who didn't fish, you said?
I said I almost didn't go fishing today. I woke up tired and wanted to roll back up and go back to sleep, but I didn't. I forced myself to get up and go fishing.
Nothing wrong with that. I probably would have wanted to if I didn't get off the lake after being down there for all those days. I needed a day of rest before I go back to work tomorrow. Any other questions people got? I'll be answering whatever questions they got.
Yeah, if you have questions, feel free to ask. Bob, aka Fins and Finds, will answer your questions.
I see some people talking about muskies. Matt says, yeah, muskies like fingers, toes, arms, and legs too.
Yeah.
It seems like every year there's a report somewhere of, somebody get bit by a muskie, and I'm sure it happens,
If you step off in the wrong spot when the muskie's on its nest,
yeah,
expect to get bit.
Yeah.
It will take your toes off in one bite. They got a full-grown muskie that's almost 50 pounds, has anywhere from, I think, 3/4 of an inch to 3-inch teeth.
Yeah, I remember this was probably back in the mid-'80s. Me and my dad were fishing on Shabona Lake in central Illinois. I don't know if you know where that is. And we were at the bait shop getting bait that morning, and a guy come in, and his thumb was so jacked up, just blood everywhere. And because he had actually hooking a muskie there when he's bass fishing in the weeds, and went to lip it thinking he had a bass or something because all the weeds on it. You know how that happens there? And it tore his thumb up. So you just never know. Thomas says, what do I find? My finds for the Melitectin, I'm mainly targeting old coins. I love finding old coins. Silver, Indian pennies, all wheat cents, older stuff than that. But then I do go on several trips a year where I'm looking for Civil War relics here in Southwest Missouri or whatever.
Now, what type of gear do you have for metal detecting?
I've got 2 detectors. One of them that I use most is a company called Minelab. It's their CTX 3030 top of the line model they got. I've been using that actually since that one came out in 2013. I normally would upgrade every couple of years when they come out with something new, but I mean that's been such a good detector, and I haven't upgraded since 2013, so I'm still using it. They make another model called the Equinox, and I've got one of those also. If I'm going to be hunting in an area where it's like a huge field where we're just trying to locate where something was, like a small skirmish, or say we knew on this 30 acres there was a school site or a house, and I'll use a lighter detector for swinging faster and cover more ground, because that one I use mainly that I'm really proficient with now it's a heavy machine, and I usually use a big 17-inch search coil on it, which it's big, and I said after using that all day, you're
JB's going fishing's in the house.
Oh, cool. But yeah, that's mainly old coins is what I'm mainly looking for, or Civil War relics. Had a hunt recently where I was up in Nebraska. We're hunting the old Oregon Trail on some private property. You can still see the ruts where the trail, was.
Mm-hmm.
Old coins there, parts of some areas where the Civil War stuff was happening.
Now, what would be your most iconic find that you have found that's metal detecting?
The one that I go to most I enjoy was hunting an old tavern area here, not too far from my house. I found an old Spanish real, 17, I think 1783 it was. And that was probably one of the coolest coin finds I found. And then last year, I think it was, I found my oldest United States coin, and it was an 1837 half dime. Before the nickel coins came apart in the 1850s, there was actually called a half dime. It's actually about half the size of a dime. They were worth 5 cents. And yeah, 1837 was my oldest one of that. And that was a cool find. As far as the relics, I mean, I've got a lot of old bullets and stuff. Haven't found any buckles, but I've got a lot of just bits and pieces of that the stuff they use. Found an old canteen once from the Civil War. Nothing Nobel. It's Thomas, it's something you really got to work at. And
It takes a lot of practice.
It takes a lot of practice to know what your machine's doing. You got to get in the right area. It's location, just like real estate. You got to be in the right spots.
I think also for metal detecting, if you have an area you want to pick out, you want to research it first to see what the history is on that section of land, so you know what to expect to find.
Right. Or if you're in a town, it's not hard to tell where the old park is. I mean, a lot of these towns have parks going way back, and I like hunting old courthouses. A lot of times in the center of old town, you've got, if it's the county seat, there's a courthouse there, and they've usually got nice property around it, and it's technically public property. But there'll be a few times where I've had people say, you can't detect here. If they say that, okay, I leave. But we found a lot of great stuff at some courthouses.
Oh yeah.
And then probably one of the coolest finds I did was back when I lived in Georgia. I went to pharmacy school in Atlanta, so I was living in Noonan, Georgia at the time. I hunted an old park there, and I did this big solid gold pocket watch thing, and I thought it was fake. And so just kind of throw it in my little trash pouch and stuff, and end up it was actually solid gold, over an ounce of solid gold. And of course, at that time, gold was only a few $100 an ounce, and I was a poor college kid, so I pawned that sucker right away, and I'm getting, I think, $350 something at the time, which, hey, that was a lot of money for me. Today's
a third of what it was worth, though. But
yeah, with today's gold prices, they've been probably over $2,000 worth of gold, that one pocket watch.
Mm-hmm.
So
but to a collector, it's been worth almost $25,000-$30,000.
You never know. It just, I was, heck, when I was working at the pharmacy part-time trying to get through college, and I was probably making $7 an hour then, so you get $350 really quick.
Oh yeah, $350. That's almost a week's pay back then.
Yeah, it's a good day. So, yeah, it just, and a lot of stuff. I don't sell hardly anything I find. It's just I've got just boxes full of old finds and this and that, and it's just the thrill of the hunt. And that's one reason I like doing the videos of it, because you can always go back and relive it. It's fun. And usually I'm all with a buddy, and I'm filming my stuff and finding what he's finding. My nephew got into it, a few years ago, and started his YouTube channel, and man, he's grown that channel awesome. He's got, I think, almost 30,000 subscribers on his channel. Almost
really
pushing like 5 million views and stuff. Making pretty decent money, for that as a side gig. He's hunting up in Nebraska where he's going to college. And so, the weekends he'll go hunt, film that, put that up, and get a little side income. But it's fun watching, him grow from him asking me questions, about the first detector, and he was going to get this one to start out. And I said, no, let me help you get this one. And he got that and got so good with it. And now he's, hunting with other people he find on YouTube, and, because they've got, just like here, we've got this great catfish community, all these people from all over the country that, we all know. And it's the same thing with the metal detecting community. You got people. So if he goes to Tennessee to visit, my mom, his grandma, he's always meeting up with people there, and he'll get, some videos made and detect the people there. he hunts with me down here, you know, and he goes to Texas and all kinds of places. And oh man, I'm almost jealous of stuff that he's found. He's made some awesome finds. But he does a lot of research, you know. Whereas me, I'm gonna go to a small town and hit a park or a courthouse on public property almost 99% of the time. He likes to, you know, actually knock on doors, hit people's, you know, old houses, old property, and do a lot of research. And he's become very proficient at it. Does a great job. But yeah,
Now,
if anybody ever wanted to be curious about it, it's called Down South Detecting. His name is Zach, and I mean, it's a fun channel to watch if you want to see some cool finds.
what would you think would be a better fight? A big giant flathead or a shark?
The shark. I mean, I do. I mean, those sharks, they're relentless. You know, flathead. You know, gonna put up a great fight. You're gonna get a couple of great runs. You know, you can get tired down a little bit, get up to the boat or the shore, and then of course he's gonna make that last minute run. But I don't know. I've seen them sharks, and they go crazy, and they'll make super long runs, especially in, you know, that salt water. And you're a lot more likely to get spooled by a shark than you are a flathead. I'll just put it that way. I don't think you're ever gonna get spooled with a flathead, but shark, good chance. Depends on how big the shark is. But I'd have fun catching either one of them.
The reason why I was asking, because I seen the video where you caught that shark off the pier.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, that video there was me filming somebody else catching one. I didn't catch that one. I was testing some shorts out because, you know, a lot of us here, we'll talk to the YouTube side of it. You know, a lot of us here have YouTube channels that we're trying to build.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, of course, if we haven't hit it yet, trying to get those 1,000 subscribers. But the harder part to me is unless you're doing these live shows like you're doing, I'm sure your hours are way up there. But again, hours, if you're just doing videos, it's hard. I mean, I'm sitting at about 1,700 watch hours, and you need 4,000 to get it monetized. And whereas the subscriber count, you get 1,000, and you got no time limit to get that. But the 4,000 watch hours has to be in the last 365 days.
Yeah.
So you get far enough in where you're getting the watch hours, but it's dropping off the other end, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
I decided to do a couple shorts because I know if you get one of those go good, you know, you get tons of views quickly. And I'm like, well, if I get a short going really good, get a lot of watch hours on that, you know, even though they're short videos, that would help me out. And then I was on a chat with DMV, and he was telling me that those shorts don't count towards your watch hours. So I was like, well, darn, you know, that plan.
Go back to your metal detecting things.
Yeah.
Your equipment. What would be a good metal detector for someone getting started out?
Probably the best, if you want a good starter one where you feel like you're not being held back by your equipment, you know, and something that I don't care if you've been detecting 30 years like I have, that you could use that as your only detector. The Minelab Equinox 600 is probably going to be the one I would steer somebody towards. It's a great mid-range one that's going to be capable of any type of hunting you want to do, whether it's, you know, civil rock hunting, deep coins, jewelry, beach hunting. You can do it all with that.
Okay.
That's be like, you know, that's what I use as my backup detector, my lightweight one. But if I had to use that as my only detector, I would feel like I could do whatever I want with it, you know.
What would be your main go-to detector you use?
The one I use as my go-to is also made by the same company, Minelab, but it's their CTX 3030 model. But you're looking at, over $2,000 for that detector. Yeah.
That's it.
So it's a bit pricey one.
Yeah, Jason, I'm honored that I was the first YouTube video that you've ever watched. And he's been following my channel ever since the first live stream I've done.
I tell you what,
Or actually the first video I put out.
I love watching all these people's videos. When I'm not always commenting, so I've probably watched the videos that people know I've watched. So
I'll go watch a channel and videos. I'll give them a thumbs up. But if I think they have a need, if I feel a desire to leave a comment, I will.
Yeah.
But 90% of the time I don't. But on my channel, even on my very first video, I've never edited one video.
Mm-hmm.
I've kept it all real. Or if I go fishing, you'll see me catch one. If I don't, you ain't gonna see it.
Yeah, there you go. I enjoy the editing, all that process. I know some people can't stand it. So I've got right now in my camera bag from this last trip, I've got 4 256 cards full. So, basically a terabyte of stuff that I'm going to have to go through to end up making whatever a 10, 15-minute video, if that much.
Good night, Betty. You have a good night. And
Betty, appreciate you watching.
Do it quicker.
Thank you.
Hey, Country Boy Catfishing.
CBC.
Welcome, bud.
So, I use DaVinci Resolve as my editor. I'm still trying to learn that. But it's, way more capable than what I can do. But it's like one of those type of softwares where if I think of something I want to do and I don't know how to do it, I can pull up a YouTube video and show me how to do it. So you can't.
I can watch a YouTube video half a dozen times on editing, and I still fuck up a video.
Well, what I do is I've got 2 21-inch monitors right in front of me here. So I'm on this one right now, and then the second one I'll pull up the YouTube video. So I'll be edited on this one, watch the YouTube video right here, and so he says, "Well, do this, this, and this," and I can pause it and do this, this, and this over here, and then keep going until I learn how to do.
Well, that's my problem. I only got one computer.
Yeah, back in March last year, when I really said I'm going to get better at this, YouTube stuff, went up to Minnesota where my cousin lives. He built a lot of computers, and I'm like, okay, I want a computer that'll do this. So we put one together, went and bought the parts, and drove back down to Missouri and got it all set up, and this is what we built. It's plenty of fast to do anything I want to do. It's like bank fishing for giant blue cats, but for sharks. Let's go. There you go.
Hey, that's the way Jason is. He's gung ho for something. If he's like, bank fishing for big cats and bank fishing for big sharks.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I'm ready.
Yeah, that's how I am. Somebody says, "Hey, let's go bank fishing for bluegill right now." Let's go. It don't matter. It's fishing. Somebody says, "Hey, I found an old park in this town could have some good stuff. Let's go." Gosh, life is short. It's
you gotta make it to the fullest.
Go out and have fun, and that's what I like about my work schedule, because I do get the week off every other week, and it gives me a lot of freedom to do stuff. My work weeks is hard because I work overnights, so it's like work all night, come home, go to bed, and sleep all day, and then right back to work. And last 7 days, it's rough.
Trust me, I know graveyards. I do that. I was doing it for 6 months without any days off, 7 days a week straight.
Oh, that's rough.
Pulling doubles and living there at work on weekends and not being able to get home until Monday morning at 7.
Yeah. If it wasn't the schedule I got, I wouldn't do the overnights. But I've been doing it 18 years now at Walgreens, and it's just I'm so used to it. And store I work at's 2 miles from the house, so it's nice short drive. I like that.
I'm only from here to work. I believe I'm 7 minutes away.
Yep, not bad at all.
It'd be a long walk for 7 minutes, but that's only a 7 minute drive.
Yeah, I'm probably under that.
Walking it, that'd be almost like a 2 hour walk.
If I hit the lights right, between my house and work, I could get in my car, plug in my phone, turn a song on, and I could be in my driveway before the song's over. Sometimes, if it's a long enough song. And
Yeah.
I like living close to home. Close to work. I feel sorry for people who have a long commute because that's just so much of your life I feel is wasted. Is that commute?
I wouldn't mind the walk for the health part of it, for the exercise part.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, you got some crazies out there that's going to try to hit you.
Yeah. Well, I feel like working the pharmacy, of course, I'm just always on my feet. And since I work alone at night, after 11 o'clock, I'm by myself back there until 7 a.m. And it just between counter where I'm filling prescriptions or walking to the drive-through, it's just I'm on my feet all night long. I get my steps in if I've kept track of it. I probably walk a few miles every day just at work.
Yeah.
After that, I definitely don't want to walk home. Not at all. But I go through phases where I'm more in shape, and if I get if I'm in one of those good phases and I'm eating better, I do got a home gym. I'll come home and lift weights before I go to bed, and there's some days where I'm not doing nothing and just getting fatter. So it just depends. It's just the reality of life.
Now, what is your puppy's name? The one that has a long, floppy tongue.
That's Snowcap. Yeah, that's my daughter's dog. She's probably about 13 years old now. But she had some type of autoimmune disease where if she had any type of plaque or something on her teeth, which dogs would get no matter how well you do it,
Yeah,
would get so inflamed and just bleed, and her teeth would get loose and messed up, and no matter we tried that, couldn't stop that. So they just ended up pulling out her teeth. And since that day, I never realized how much the teeth keep the tongue in. So her tongue's just flopping around all the time.
hello, Paula Smith, and welcome.
Hey, Paula. Yeah, she's probably, if I open this door right here, well, I guess whatever, she's probably asleep behind that door right there. She wanted to come in here with me, but,
That'd be all right.
Let me see if she's there. We'll check real quick. Nope. Maybe she's over. She might be in my bedroom with my wife. She's usually up in the room with my daughter, but my daughter's out of town this weekend, so.
Okay.
One daughter out of town with some friends, and then my older daughter, she's actually on an 11-month mission trip. She's in Costa Rica right now. She was in Guatemala. She's in Costa Rica now, and then I don't even know where after that. She's supposed to go to 11 countries in 11 months. But I
think everybody in the catfish community loves their dogs and loves supporting the vets and the people that are dependent on our country today.
Heck yeah. Definitely.
Especially we like our big cats too, so.
Can't go wrong with that. But yeah, I appreciate, all the vets out there, what they've done. Can't thank them enough.
No, we can't. They deserve everything they get.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Well, any other questions for me?
Anybody in chat have any more questions for Fins and Pines? Please let us know. Hello, Ricky's Fishing Adventure.
Ricky's in the house now.
If you have any questions for Fins and Pines, please put them in chat. He will get them answered. We'll get the questions out to him.
Yeah, if I'll do fishing questions, melody testing questions. I don't dog questions, I'll answer anything. I'm here for the fun of it. I mean, this since I kind of got in this catfish community, I haven't been as long as a lot of people have.
No,
It's an amazing group of people. Amazing group of people.
amazing group of people, but once people see get to know your, put a face to the name,
Yeah,
it has a tendency to get your channel out there growing more.
yeah. And that's
And
why.
that's what I like doing, to get younger channels that has either started or is low in subscribers, and put a name to them and get them in the community to help them grow.
Yeah, I think I'm sitting right now. Last I checked,
You're not too far. You're
no,
not too far behind me.
no, I'm 618 subscribers now, so I'm getting there.
I'm around 630, 623, or 632. So you're not too far behind me.
If you've.
Hey, JP3, welcome.
Hey, JP3.
So what would be your most funniest moment in fishing?
Funniest. Um, Gosh, that's a hard question there. The one I think of the most was actually when I was younger. The cousin who was fishing me this past week, we were fishing at a pond near my house in Texas when I lived there, and dropped a pair of pliers off the pier, fishing pliers, and they were like special pliers that my dad had that he liked a lot for fishing. And I was like, oh man, my dad's gonna kill me. Lost his pliers. So we decided to just dive off the pier. It's probably about 14 foot of water, and see if we could find them. And so we were taking turns going down there trying to get the pliers, and it was high enough pier where you have to help each other get out, right?
Right.
So I go down, he go down, and then there's one point where he was down, and my cousin Mike, he's a little more scared of animals than I am.
Right.
I told him that there was a snapping turtle behind him, and just like that, he was on that pier by himself, no help at all. It was the funniest thing, and I mean, gosh, that we were. I don't know if I was even a teenager then. Probably wasn't even then, but we still laugh about that to this day. How he got up on that pier when we couldn't do it on our own just because he thought it was a turtle, and I've never seen him move that fast.
What would be your worst memory in fishing?
I don't know if it's a memory, but it's just, I love fishing with my dad. And then since he's passed away, years ago, not being
Right.
with him, that's probably the hardest thing for me. I mean, he was, my first and best fishing partner ever.
Yeah.
So every time I'm on the lake, especially if I do good or catch something good, I always wish that he was there with me. And that's hard part,
Yeah. That to me would be a lot of memories that you had to share with your dad, which would be more of a cherishing time.
Yeah. 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 It's just, him not being there for
Right.
fishing.
The hard part would be him not there to be with you to enjoy it.
And I said he loved to bank fish. There was a few days ago we were fishing this one part of the lake there, and just had this. Of course, Norfolk is just real rocky and stuff, but there's one area where it's just a lot flatter and like a sandy area. And I was just telling Mike, I'm like, man, that's the exact spot my dad loved to fish right now if he was here. That's where he'd want to be. He'd almost have me probably beach the boat just so he could get off and shore fish right there. It was, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's hard. But I don't know. I mean, it's hard to have a bad memory when you're fishing because you're fishing.
True. Like they say, a bad day at work is better than a good day at work. A bad day of fishing is better than a good day at work.
Yeah. Even the days I get skunked. I guess I've had to think of a bad memory. It was a few years back. We were fishing on Palm de Tier Lake, me and my cousin, and coming out of a cove where it was real stubby, so we're going slow and get out to the open area. So I opened it up a little bit, but we're still maybe going maybe 20 miles per hour, more open water, and all of a sudden, boom! I'm like, what the heck was that? And there's a big log, just under the surface that I missed, and tore the lower unit up. That's $5,000. I'm looking at insurance, I had to pay deductible.
Ow.
Trying to get the boat, back on the trailer and stuff. And it was a super windy day, and I was able to get the trolling motor, back to a dock, a private dock that we were supposed to dock at, but I'm like, I had to dock somewhere. And luckily, there just happened to be a guy fishing off the dock, and he agreed to take me to where my truck was. It was about a 10-mile drive, by land to my truck, so I could get to that boat launch and get the boat off. And that was early in the day. We've been on the water maybe an hour, planning fishing all day. And so I guess, that was not a good memory,
That would be a bad day of fishing.
Yeah.
That'd be a perfect one right there.
Yeah. So if,
what would be your most embarrassing moment?
I don't know. I don't embarrass that easy. So that's a hard question for me. I guess, one of the few tournaments I fished the Possum Kingdom tournament a couple of years ago they had. And that was tough. We didn't even weigh in to fish the second day. So that's, I guess I feel embarrassed that you could sit there on the lake all day and not even have fish to weigh in. But we weren't the only ones to get skunked those days. So I guess when you're fishing a tournament, that you put a lot of money into, a lot of time,
right,
distance, and then, blank out on one of the days. But other than that, no, I guess if I'm, making a YouTube video and watch some footage and maybe, showing butt crack, when you're bending over on some of these good finds, bending over trying to get a fish out, but that'd be embarrassing. But if it's good footage, it's going to go in the video.
Yeah, maybe good footage, but seeing a plumber's butt, no thanks.
Yeah, no thanks. But I've watched plenty of YouTube videos. Some of the guys catfishing. It's going to be in there, So.
All right, Ricky's fishing adventures wants to know, what's your most recent find and most valuable find?
The most recent find that's memorable that's I done recently was actually the last hunt I went on for detecting was not that long ago when I got a buddy who's got some old property that he said he thought he had some Civil War activity on. So it was he's got 100 something acres. So you hunt an area that big, you don't expect to find much right away. And so we went on there, and within 5 minutes, we were digging Civil War bullets off that property. We ended up digging probably about a dozen mini balls that day. And that was just, pretty recent. I didn't make a video on that trip at all.
No, when you find those mini balls, do you ever wonder who was that mini ball fired, or did it go through a human body?
You could the fired ones you could tell because they are mangled, and misshapen, and then you get a lot that are just dropped too, just in the battle or whatever. You'll find some that were melted in a fire, all kinds of stuff. The cool ones are if you find one that's been carved, those guys spend a lot of time at camp, bored, and they'll sit there and carve on them, make chess pieces, carve initials.
Right.
And those kind of finds, they're really memorable because, like you said, you don't know, or you wonder who it was that held that bullet, who lost that bullet, and it's those. That's what I like about the relic hunting is seeming more memory. Where's a coin? Yeah, I could dig a coin from the 1800s, and it could pass through 100 hands between then, but it's the relics are the cool part, as far as historical significance or what I think about, who did what with it. most valuable coin I got is maybe worth a couple $100. I never find anything super valuable.
Okay.
The guy that's in the crappie video with me, he's also detects too. That's how I actually met, was from Melitech. We're hunting a park here in Missouri, and he was probably about 10 feet away from me that time, and he dug a kind of a rare dime, and he sold that one on eBay for I think $1,100. So you never, you never know what you're gonna find. That's what the cool thing about it is.
No, that's what gets me is getting into it is more expensive than after you get into it.
Yeah. Whereas fishing, you're always gonna want to buy a new rod, this and that. You're always, doing stuff.
Right.
Yeah, the Melitech, and you got your you're digging stuff, your gear up front, but other than that, that's it. Like I said, that expensive detector I got, I've had this since 2013. So it's more than paid for itself if I actually will sell the finds that I've got.
Well,
I feel like
if only you would have held onto that gold watch.
Yes, I wish I would have held on to it, because that would be worth a lot more today.
Oh yeah, it'd been worth a lot more. Like we were saying earlier, a collector would have had a grand time with that.
Yeah. And then, but that's what the only stuff I've ever sold is that one, and some of the gold rings I found over time. Like, usually when I go to the beach, I like, bring the detector.
Right.
Things like the Gulf area, like Destin, where my wife likes to vacation, I don't do too well on. But on the East Coast, like Myrtle Beach and stuff, if we go there, always, every trip to Myrtle Beach, I find a gold ring. It just never fails.
Yeah.
And part of it is because if you look at the way the sand is there, like take for Destin, you got a steep drop off and you got real loose white sand. And somebody drops, loses a ring, within a day, that thing could be either reach a detector, it could sink fast. Whereas on the East Coast, Myrtle Beach, you got the tides, it's a lot flatter. So when the tide is up and when it goes down, it could change 100 yards almost, some of those places. And so where somebody was swimming at high tide, they might have been in waist deep water losing stuff. And by the end of the day, when the tide's out, all that's dry. And I could detect that super easily. At nighttime was when I like to go when everybody's off there. And it's a lot more thicker sand, a lot more shells and stuff, and it doesn't sink as fast.
Now, on high tide and low tide, which would think would have a better catfishing?
I've never catfished in a tidal basin.
So okay, I thought you did.
No, I've never fished in those tidal rivers at all. So
oh yeah, that's right. You're landlocked.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was thinking of Dan. That was supposed to be the co-host.
Oh. Yeah.
You also dive and do finds, or only land based?
I've water hunted, never dove at all. But the other thing I like to do, I've never done any videos on it, but when I lived in Georgia, I did a lot of gold mining in the rivers there, dredging and panning and stuff. My wedding ring is from gold that I found in North Georgia, panning the rivers and dredging. I did a lot of that. And then when I moved to Missouri, there's just, not really good places to do that. So I sold all my equipment. But I know Patriot James, he does that up in North Carolina where he is. And I've dredged up in that area where he lives also before. And that's another one of my favorite hobbies to do. That's a location base. You got to be in the right location to do that. And Southwest Missouri is not the right location.
All right.
So when I was in Farmers School in Atlanta, living there, I'd go up to a lot of the weekends. I spend up in the North Georgia mountains or North Carolina, dredging rivers. Fun stuff. Good memories. I like it again.
What are all the tools you use for metal detecting?
You don't need a lot. I use I mean, of course, you got your detector and a good set of headphones. And then I've got a little, pouch that I put my junk stuff in or my good finds. And then I got one hand digger I use. The hand digger I use is basically, it's called the Predator Tools Raptor Digger. I mean, it costs about, I don't know, $60. But I don't care how hard the ground is. I mean, I get through almost anything with that. And if I'm hunting in a relic field where, field open up where I don't have to be as neat digging a hole like a, manicured lawn, I've got a small shovel made by the same company, long handle, and it just makes it easier to dig a bigger hole for the bullet and stuff. Like I said, the equipment wise, it's one of those ones that it's almost like one and done. You just get it. If you buy it right to begin with, that's going to last you many, many years. And, one thing that costs me money in detecting is just gas money to get to where I'm going to go. Trying to see any other questions in chat here.
I know I've been keeping on chatting on my phone too.
I see people talking about the Rover reels.
Yeah, it's a baitcaster reels.
I've never used any of those.
I don't like them. They're good for bird nesting. But it's been over 2 hours, and if anybody don't have any questions,
wow, we've been on for 2 hours already. Oh yeah,
2 hours and 11 minutes.
Wow. Well, I've had fun.
Huh?
I've had fun.
So have I.
Yeah.
That's normally how these lives go. I mean, we get to talking and it gets carried away and it runs.
Yep. But yeah, I mean,
how do you get into metal detecting?
My dad. He'd been doing that since the late 60s. I was born in 71, and probably I'd watched him when I was little. He'd take me to the parks when, and of course I wasn't detecting then. But then I guess it was probably sometime in the mid 80s. I was, whatever, junior high. I was asking about it and stuff. Again, I'm like, I remember you doing that when I was real little and stuff. And he still had a lot of his finds, and I would still like looking at them. And he says, well, I've been wanting to do that again. So we bought, each just a detector then, and had tons of great adventures, from then. And then my cousin Mike, who's, again, I was with this past week fishing, he does it too. And I mean, we've had tons of great adventures. We've been all over the country looking for stuff.
Yeah.
And then my buddy Ray here, that's, I fish with, he detects too. So a lot of guys that, real close with that I do a lot of detecting with, that I also do fishing with. So me and Ray will get together. And we're like, well, let's get together Tuesday. You want to fish or detect? And if we decide to fish, we'll go fish. If we decide to detect, we'll go detect. But it was, I mean, just like the fishing, detecting is just because of my dad. That was our hobbies together.
Yeah. Did your son metal detect too?
I've got 2 daughters.
Oh, I mean,
yeah.
Okay.
No, they don't detect or fish. Yeah.
Okay.
I got that one nephew who detects, and then that's it. I've got nothing to pass, nobody to pass stuff down to, unfortunately. I just don't like doing that. Just like being on the boat like my wife. That's about it. Farthest you've gone to detect. I mean, most of the stuff I've done is usually within driving distance, but I've gone all the way up to South Dakota.
Wow.
I've driven up to Minnesota, met my cousin there, and we've gone on road trips. We'd go, through Minnesota, down to Iowa. Then we went up through, the Dakotas. I've detected Nebraska. When I lived in Georgia, I mean, I've been all over the Carolinas. And I've detected in Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina. Texas, I guess all the states around me, Iowa, Minnesota, Kansas. I did a lot of detecting in Kansas. A lot of good old towns out in Kansas. And when you get out that way, the soils just seems to be nicer, also easier digging, not as rocky.
Mm-hmm.
And I've found just hundreds of silver coins in Kansas towns. But yeah, all over the Midwest and the Southeast. I found a bunch of stuff in Illinois, all over the Chicago area when I've detected up there, Wisconsin. So yeah, all over the place.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody else don't have any more questions for him, we will be ending it here. It's been fun. It's been great.
Yeah.
We've been going live for 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Well, I want to thank everybody coming. I mean, I'm not that well known. I don't have a big YouTube channel, and just having people come in and listen to me blab for 2 hours is humbling. I really appreciate it. I'm thankful.
Found any old West revolvers lately?
No. Last year I was hunting with my buddy Ray, and he found an old blunderbuss pistol that probably dated back to. We were hunting a house that was built in 1827, and the gun may have even predated that. It could have been late 1700s. And that was an extremely cool find.
Okay, well, with that being the last question, we'll say good night, tight lines, and everybody be safe. God bless you all, and hope you had a happy Easter.
Mm-hmm.
And was able to get out fishing and enjoyed time with your families.
Yep.
And good night.
And Abbott, I want to thank you for inviting me on here. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Now, next week, just remember we will have Paula Smith,
Awesome.
the queen of the 80-pound club.
Heck yeah.
She's been to the 80-pound club countless times. So make sure you have your questions ready and everything.
Yep. That's going to be a good show.